Hello guys, this is life process part 7. Hope you enjoyed part 1 to part 6. If you didn't watch the part 1 to part 6, please make sure you have watched. So now let's start the transportation. Transportation in human beings are of two, that is by plasma and by RBC, that is red blood cells. Plasma transports food, carbon dioxide and nitrogenous waste, but RBC transports only oxygen. The heart is a muscular organ which is as big as our fist. Because both of oxygen and carbon dioxide have to be transported by the blood, the heart has different chambers to prevent the oxygen-rich blood from mixing with the blood containing carbon dioxide. The carbon dioxide-rich blood has to reach the lungs for the carbon dioxide to be removed, and the oxygenated blood from the lungs has to be brought back to the heart. This is oxygen-rich blood is pumped to the rest of the body. So, the heart is a very vital organ to the human. So, our heart has four chambers. Okay, there are two columns, that two chambers do oxygenated blood have deoxygenated blood, and red one, this part has oxygenated blood. So the blood from the which comes from the lungs are called as oxygenated blood because oxygen will be dissolved in it and it goes to the left atrium. Okay, so when the heart enters to the when the deoxygenated blood enters to the left atrium, it gets collected in left ventricle, and when the blood is pumped by heart, it goes to the from aorta to all parts of the body. But when the deoxygenated blood from all parts of the body is collected here and again it is pumped, it goes directly to the lungs and gets oxygenated again, and this cycle continues again and again. So now let's study it in detail in next slide. Here friends, you can see here that there is here lungs are located. Here lungs are located, and here body cells, all types of body cells. Here are the nucleus. So when the blood is deoxygenated and when we respire, the oxygen is inhaled, right? So deoxygenated blood gets dissolved in oxygen and it goes to the right ventricle and gets collected here. But when the heart is pumped, it directly goes to the body by making small parts like capillaries. This is called as capillaries, small blood vessels, and the oxygen is transported to the all parts of the body. And when the oxygen is deoxygenated again, it goes to the heart, and again when the heart is pumped, it goes to the lungs. So this cycle is continued again and again. So now let's study the definitions and the points. We follow this process by step. Oxygen-rich blood from the lungs comes to the thin-walled upper chamber of the heart on the left and left atrium. The left atrium relaxes it collecting the blood. It then contracts while next chamber, the next ventricle expands so that the blood is transferred to it. When the muscular left ventricle contracts in its turn, the blood is pumped out of the body. Deoxygenated blood comes from the body to the upper chamber on the right, and the right atrium as it expands as the left atrium contracts. The corresponding lower chamber, the right ventricle, dilates. This transfers blood to the right ventricle, which in turn pumps into lungs for oxygenation. Since ventricles have pump blood in various organs, they have thicker muscular walls that the artery do. The walls ensure that blood does not flow backward when arteria or ventricles contract. The separation of the right side and left side of the heart is useful to keep oxygenated and deoxygenated blood for mixing. For such separation or allow high efficient supply of oxygen to body. So now let's go to the next slide. So now let's study the transportation in other organisms, animals, sorry. When you take any mammal like elephant, you can take any mammal, they have four chamber. Four chamber, not only in mammals but also in birds. So mammals and birds have four chamber hearts, but the reptiles and amphibians and reptiles have three chambered heart. So this means that they have three chambered heart and the oxygen and deoxygenated blood are mixed. Oxygenated and deoxygenated blood are mixed, not separate like mammals and birds. But when it comes to fish, they have only two chambered hearts. So their blood enters the fish heart only once in their cycle, but not twice, as in the case of mammals and birds. So now let's study the points. This is useful in animals which have high energy needs such as birds and mammals. As I said, they have four chamber which constantly use to maintain their body temperature. So they have given the reason why mammals and birds have four chamber, because they need lot of energy for maintaining the body temperature, right? So they need four chambered heart. In animals that do not use energy for this purpose of the body temperature depends on the temperature in the environment. Animals like amphibians and many reptiles have three chambered heart, as I said here, and tolerate some mixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood streams. And as I said, they have mixed blood, there are no separate oxygen and deoxygenated blood. Fishes on the other hand have only two chambered heart, as I said before, to their hearts, and the blood is pumped to the gills, is oxygenated there and passes directly to the rest of the body. Thus, the blood goes only once through the heart, as I said before, in the fish during one cycle of the passage through the body. On the other hand, it goes through the heart twice during the cycle of other vertebrates. This is known as double circulation. Okay, now let's go to the next slide. So now we are studying the blood vessels, that are the tubes. Arteries are the very thick, I'll write it here, they are thickest blood vessels in our body, which pumps the oxygenated blood to the whole parts of the body. So why they are thick? Because the heart pumps with high pressure, right? So they need a thick walls to not does not to break the blood vessels, right? So we need arteries, that is very thick wall. Blood vessels have thick walls. So they get divided and divided. When they reach the end of the body, they are in capillaries. Capillaries, as I said before, they are here. These are called as capillaries. So they are very minute blood vessels which are at the which are of almost cell size, and they enter. This is used for transporting the oxygen to the cells and collecting the carbon dioxide from the cells. So we need capillaries also. Here they are in microscopic level, they will be like here, and they'll merge again, and they'll go to right right ventricle part of the heart, and again oxygenated in lungs. So okay, now let's study the point here. Arteries and the vessels are carry blood away from the heart to various organs of the body. Since the blood emerges from the heart with high pressure, the arteries have thick elastic walls. Veins collects the blood from the different organs and have back to the heart. They do not need thick walls because the blood is no longer under pressure. So when it comes to the capillary level, the blood pressure gets down, guys. So the capillaries are always thin instead of having walls to ensure that the blood flows only one direction. On reaching an organ or tissue, the arteries divide into smaller and smaller vessels to bring the blood in contact with all the individual cells. The smallest vessels are have walls with one cell thick. So capillaries are one cell thick and are called capillaries. As I said before, exchange of material between the blood and surrounding takes place across the thin wall. The capillaries then join together to form the veins, convey the blood away from the organ of the tissue. So what are veins? Veins are the blood vessels which carry deoxygenated blood to the heart from the cells is called as veins. So now let's go to the next slide. So when we have wounds or cuts, there is blood coming out of our body, and if there is no platelets, there will be continuous bleeding, and we lose very much blood. So we need platelets, and even to maintain the loss of pressure, we need platelets. So now let's study how it is used. What happens? This is system to develops a leak. As I said, when there is cut, there will be a leak, right? The blood gets leaked. So when naturally the loss of blood from the system has to be minimized. In addition, leakage would lead to loss of pressure, as I said, which would reduce the efficiency of the 108 signs pumping system. That is hard to avoid this. The blood has platelets cells which circulate around the body and plug these leaks by helping to clot the blood at these points of injury. Okay, now we have studied the importance of platelets. Now let's study what are limbs. So limbs are like same as that plasma, where the plasma what they say transport the food waste, nitrogenous waste, etc. But the lymph stores the digested food in the cells. So let's study how. There is another type of fluid also involved in transportation. This called as lymph or tissue fluid. We can call the lymph as tissue fluid through the pores present in the walls of the capillaries. So capillaries have small pores which are called as limbs, which make some space and transport the fats. Here, where somewhere here, and less. They have less proteins. Now proteins have blood cells escape into intracellular spaces in the tissues to form tissue fluid or limb. It is similar to the plasma, as I said, the blood but colorless. The lymph are colorless, guys. The lymph contains very less amount of proteins. Lymph drains into lymphatic capillaries. So lymphs drain into lymphatic capillaries from intercellular spaces. So here comes the intercellular spaces which join to form the large lymph vessels and finally a larger veins. Lymph carries the digested and absorbed food. As I said before, they have absorbed fat and digested food with from intestine and drain excess fluid of the from the extracellular space back into the blood. So this is all about the transportation in humans and other animals. Thank you guys for watching the part 7 of my life process. So hope you will enjoy the part 8 also. Thank you once again.